Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Greetings of peace, loved ones worldwide. This is Baraka Blue, and you are tuned into Path and Present podcast. This episode is with my dear friend Mithat, who is one of the Mevlevi Dervishes, the Whirling Dervishes in Konya, and we speak about the Sama ceremony, the whirling ceremony, as well as the way of Rumi, the living tradition. He's a representative of that tradition, and so is his father and grandfather. And he's one of my best friends here in Turkey and in Konya, so it's great to share that tradition with you. Before I give the podcast to you, I wanted to share a few updates coming up this weekend. I'll be in Berlin on September 22nd. This weekend there's a festival called the Muslimisch Kulturage Festival. I think that means the Muslim Culture Festival in Berlin. This is the first year that they do it, and it's bringing artists and performers from all over the world, musicians. They have a great lineup, including my friends Firdaus Ensemble and Amir Suleiman. I know they will be there, and many more. So if you're in Berlin, or Germany, or anywhere in Europe, and you can get there, please come out, and I'll be performing there. Also, I'll be at the Konya International Music Festival this week. I'll just be spending some time there, so if you are around, please let me know, inshallah. Other than that, we just finished a course, Opening the Eye of the Heart for Rumi Center, which was great, and the next course will be in November. We're going to have a Rabi al-Awwal course. We had it last year. It was really successful. We had so many people from all over the world take it and study about the poetry and praise of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and this great tradition of praise all the way from the Sahaba all the way through the modern era, and showing that it's a living tradition. And we bring scholars as well as artists and poets and musicians who are writers, who are representatives of this living tradition. We have Dr. Omar Farooq Abdullah, Sheikh Abdul Hakim Murad, as well as many more amazing people. So if you can join us for that, I highly recommend it. It was amazing last year, and I'm looking forward to it this year as well. And then, inshallah, we'll see when, but while we were in Konya, we just recorded another course on the poetry and philosophy of Rumi. So I'm hoping we can do that in December, which is celebrating the Shabi Urus, the wedding night of Maulana Rumi, his death date, which is, he called his wedding night when he met his beloved, the Creator. So this is what we have coming up, and inshallah I'll be in Seattle with Wasat doing some programs in late October and in November and December, and I'll have a number of performances all around North America and recitations for the Mawlid month in November. So I'm looking forward to that, and I hope to see you. As always, if you enjoy this podcast, you can support by spreading the word, passing it on to your peoples. You can also send us any questions or comments you have to our email, connect@barakablue.com, or you can send them to Twitter @BarakaBlue. And then this podcast is made possible by our Patreon supporters. So I want to thank all the Patreon supporters. Please say a special dua, prayer for them. They are the ones that make this possible. This is community supported, so if you would like to support, we would be very grateful. You can go to patreon.com/pathandpresent, and you can give as little as $1 a month, $5 a month, $10 a month, and this goes a long way to make these conversations possible. All right, y'all. Assalamu alaikum. So alhamdulillah, sitting with a real living whirling dervish, inshallah. And we met 3 or 4 years ago when I came to Konya during Ramadan. Yeah. And our mutual friend Sarwar. He was the one that connected us, you
Yes.
remember? And mashallah, I had been to Konya a number of times before that, but meeting you and meeting your family and meeting the Mavlevis, that was a great opening because you actually see the real living tradition as it is carried on. So obviously you know that the Whirling Dervishes are very famous in America.
Mm-hmm.
And even you'll hear, I mean, Rumi's very famous as a poet, of course. And, you know, I think Beyonce and Jay-Z, famous pop stars, they named their child Rumi. Mm-hmm. And even Donald Trump, his daughter, you know, on Instagram recently, she quoted Rumi. Like, this is...
Yes.
And even you hear the NFL, you know, American football.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching a game recently and they said, you know, the player with the ball, the running back was like spinning and maneuvering. He said, he's running like a whirling dervish. Even talking about. So it has this kind of popular awareness. And you know, not Americans, but Westerners, Europeans, have been fascinated with the whirling dervishes for hundreds of years since they first traveled into the Ottoman Empire and saw this, right, and wrote about it. And it's an amazing ceremony. So I just really wanted to speak about your experience, also learning it, and what it's like. I know because you're from a lineage, right? Your father is also, you know, a sheikh within the order, and your grandfather was a felt maker, made the hats, right?
Yes.
So, I guess we could start with how old were you when you started learning, and how was the process of learning? How long did it take to learn the sama, the whirling? And maybe you could just explain the sama for those that have seen it, but you could explain some about the movements and how you learn it, etc.
Yeah. Firstly, I am thankful to you. It was honor for me to be with you. Alhamdulillah, maybe this is our 4 years together, but it was a good experience for me too. I am very glad to meet with you. Mithat, my name is Mithat, as a Whirling Dervishes. This is my 15 years. As you said, my father and my grandfather was also a Whirling Dervish. Me and my brother, we are at the 3rd generation in this culture. So, in our childhood, during our childhood, this Mevlevi tradition, this Sufi culture was so alive in our home. Our actions, our responsibilities, it was under the Mevlevi tradition. And for me, it was not so difficult to attend this group, attend this tradition. I started to perform when I was 14 years old. But as I said, my father started to teach me when I was a child. And it is step by step. Firstly, you don't feel any dizzy. Firstly, your body adapts these actions, these movements. It is like a sharia, because in Sema there are some rules and you should take care of these, and then you can do the real Sema. It was during my childhood period with my brother. Actually, my brother Mehmet, younger than me, but he was 8 years old. He firstly attended his Sema in Mevlana Museum. It is now a museum. It's a dergah. He attended his first Sema when he was at 8 years old. He was very lucky. It is very similar in our history because sheikh's children, they were doing this ceremony in the dergah, in the tekke, in the Mevlevi lodges. And turning back to my history, when I was 14 years old, when I was in high school, my father was teaching me these basic rules in every day. We were practicing more than 1 hour, but it was very good for me. In a short period, I adapted. I learned too much things. At the same time, my father was teaching me about Mevlana Celaleddin Rumi, about his life, about the philosophy, about the meaning of Sema. It was not only learning about how to perform as a dance, because it is not true to say dance, I think, because it has many meanings, many philosophy. It is better to say in English ceremony. And we started to perform our Sema around the world. When I was 14 years old, my first trip became in Germany. It was a short program, but Alhamdulillah, it was a good experience for me. I went to Germany when I was 14 years old, and I performed my first Sema in abroad. And Konya, during the December, it is very special because it is the anniversary ceremony of Mevlana Celaleddin Rumi's passing away. During we say Shebi Aruz, it's a wedding night. During this month, Konya is like a Eid. It is like a special day. It's a festival, and thousands of people comes to watch, to attend this ceremony. And I started to take a part in this group, in this special group. This special group, under the Ministry of Culture and Tourism, government supports them, and this group goes all around the world. Firstly, I've helped them during the December, but after years, they take me to their group officially, and we started to perform our Sema around the world. I visited more than 30 different countries to share this experience, to show people the ceremony like this.
Yeah, so when you say that, like, I'm curious about the training of the Mevlevis. Not only the Sama, because you mentioned it's not just a dance, but it's a whole way of life.
Yes.
And it's a kind of a specific adab in relationship to people, relating ultimately to the Creator.
Yes.
In every moment, every breath. And we observe that, the special adab in all the Mevlevis that we interact with. So maybe, you could explain, how would you explain that training and just that way of life? What is the Mevlevi way? What are the aspects of it? What are the most important aspects of it that you learned growing up and that characterize the Mevlevi way?
Sure. Actually, the Sema ceremony is only 10% of the Mevlevi tradition. What about the 90%, I think you ask? And firstly, I have to tell about Mevlana Celaleddin Rumi and his special students. Because even before Shams, Mevlana Celaleddin Rumi had more than 400 disciples, murids. He was a great sheikh. And after his passing away, after Rumi's passing away, these students, they were great, they were talented, they were knowledge, intellect person. They spread around the cities of Konya, around the city of Konya. They, for example, firstly went to Afyon, just 2 or 3 hours away from Konya, and some other several cities. And they opened a house, a dervish house. For Mevlevi Tariqa, for Mevlevi order, we say this kind of tekke, this kind of dervish house, we say Mevlevi Khane. And these Mevlevi Khanes spreaded with the Ottoman Empire.
These are the Sufi lodges, so in different languages, they're called the Zawiya, the Tekke, the Durga, the Khaniqa, right?
Yes.
But the lodge, the Sufi center.
Yes, yes. And for the Mevlevi dervishes, for the Mevlevi tariqa, we say Mevlevi Khane. And these Mevlevi Khane, the number of Mevlevi Khane was more than 170 in our history. Even in the city of Pech, now it is Hungary, at the border side of Austria.
Yeah.
They went there and they played very important role in Balkans because people converted their religion to Islam with the help of this kind of Sufi dervishes. But firstly,
Mecca, Medina,
yes,
they were
even
all throughout
Mecca, Medina,
anywhere that
North
the Ottoman
Africa.
Empire was, they were very central.
Yes. What they were doing in these kind of houses, they were doing Sema once a week or twice a month. But what about the rest? It was a lifestyle. It was like sometimes this Mevlevi Khane, it's like a madrasa. It is like an Islamic university. They were learning the basic information about Islam. And some of them, they were expert about hadith, about fiqh or about tafsir. But some of them, they were very professional on music. They were very professional. They were expert on poem in the literature. It is like a fine arts gallery or fine art university.
Yeah, I thought about that too because often if you would go to study there, the normal course of study was 1,001 days, right?
Yes.
This is for like the basic, right? Like bachelor's degree.
Yes.
Right? This is like your basic studies.
Yeah, you are right.
And then you could continue on if you wanted to master's, PhD, right?
Yeah.
But in that school, of course, everyone growing up in Islamic society in traditional times, they would memorize Quran when they were children. They would learn their basic fiqh or jurisprudence of how to worship, how to interact. They would learn the basic hadith of the Prophet, peace be upon him, all these types of subjects. So the school, when they go into it, it's kind of like a specialization in the mystical or inner dimension of things. And it's really like a liberal arts school because you're learning music.
Yes.
Everyone is learning rabab or nay. But again, and that's why if you study the Masnavi, it's not just you learn how to play the flute, but the flute has spiritual significance. Mm-hmm. It has symbolism, right? The flute is like the human being, and the goal is to become empty so that the divine breath, nafas ar-Rahman, can blow through you.
Yes.
These whole things, like that is the insan al-kamil, the empty one. Most people are full, so the breath can't flow. These things. And the rabab also, all the instruments have symbolism. So it's like you're studying how to play music, but also it's part of your spiritual growth, right?
Yeah.
And then also you're studying literature, like you say. Primarily you're studying the Masnavi of Mawlana Rumi. You're studying a poem, an epic poem, which is, as long as the Iliad and the Odyssey combined, twice as long as Dante's Divine Comedy. Mm-hmm. It's an epic poem, rhyming couplets, each line 22 syllables. Mm-hmm. It's full of commentary on the spiritual path. Mm-hmm. And there's levels of, you study like 7 levels, they say. You study and then you start again, you read. Yes. So like martial arts, there's different belts, right? You start with white belt, you move up to black belt,
Yeah.
And then there's the masters. So you're studying literature, but for the spiritual meanings, right? And of course, the Masnavi is one of the greatest achievements in literature and human history. I mean, it's one of the greatest jewels of the Persian language, right? Mm-hmm. Jami says it's the Quran in Persian. It's the peak of eloquence. Like it almost breaks down the mind as far as how eloquent it is. And it comes from a level of inspiration, he's saying, that's just below prophetic inspiration. It's the inspiration of the awliya, the true inheritors of the prophets. So there's that. And then you would also study dance. And like you say, perhaps it's not correct to call the Sama dance because it's something sacred, just like it's not correct to call the Quran poetry because it's something beyond. But still, it is movement, sacred movement, right? nowadays in America, people talk about ecstatic dance. They go to ecstatic dance class. This is what it is. It's wedged. The whole idea is to stimulate an ecstatic state. So all of these things were studied as a means for spiritual progress, spiritual growth, and understanding Allah. And also, we should mention that in the Mevlevi Hanes, a really important aspect was service, khidmah.
Yes.
Cooking, cleaning, because it's all about being in service of the creatures in general.
Yeah.
So, what did I miss? There's other stuff. What did I forget? So, what is the life in this Mevlevi lodge traditionally?
Yeah. As you mentioned, Mesnevi plays very important role in this Mevlevi Khane because Mevlana Celaleddin Rumi says, after me, this book, Mesnevi, will be your sheikh. And it is like a spiritual guide of the dervishes of Mevlana Celaleddin Rumi. They were, before starting the Sema ceremony, Mesnevi Khan, who recites the Mesnevi,
the master.
Yeah, the master, a sheikh, appears and he reads some couples. But he makes commentary maybe more than 1 hour, even after 2 couples. It is another field because during these years, some people became expert about Mesnevi and they were reciting, but at the same time they were explaining this book. They were making commentary about this book. In this spiritual way, while we are searching ourselves into our heart, it is a voyage, Mesnevi plays very important role. Because sometimes snakes speak, sometimes animals speaks. It looks like a tail, but it is not. These are all symbols. Some of them represents your nafs, your ego, your lust. You should take care of something. Mesnevi is very important book for the Mevlevi dervishes. Actually, not only for the Mevlevi dervishes, other tariqa, other orders, they were reading, they were following Mevlana Celaleddin Rumi's philosophy. They were expert in Mesnevi, but they were not Mevlevi. For example, Murat Bukhari from Istanbul, he was a great sheikh in Naqshbandi, but he was expert in the Mesnevi. And he established a school about Mesnevi. And after that, he educated the people with the Mesnevi, and his students spread it around Istanbul, and they started to recite the Mesnevi. It must be at 18th century or 17th century. But what about the rest life in the week? For example, the Mevlevi dervishes in our history, after Fajr prayer, after morning prayer, they were making a circle and they were repeating the name of God. They were saying Allah, Allah, Allah. The sheikh was giving the number and everyone was saying Allah loudly while they are sitting. And then maybe they were drinking their Turkish coffee, and then the life starts. Our prophets, of course, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and a sample person, a unique person for them. They were trying to imitate like him during their lives. But another method is, as you mentioned, 1001 day. During these days, a dervish, if he get married, if he has family, he leaves his family, he lives in Dergah, in Mevlevi Khane during 1001 day. It is so difficult, so people generally prefer to finish this education, this training, before getting married, I think. Because some of them, they were not getting married. but not all of them. During this 1001 day, you are learning more, you are praying more, you are doing something more, you are sleeping less,
right.
you are eating less, you are drinking
So a lot
less.
of fasting, a lot of qiyamul layl, staying up the last third of the night in prayer and
Yes,
worship. They even had a special thing to keep their head up when they were in
Yes,
khalwa, in retreat,
muttaqa.
so they wouldn't fall asleep, so that they could prop their head up to continue to invoke the name of God and things.
Exactly.
So it was really spiritual struggle. You're struggling against the normal aspects of yourself, right? Your desires for food or for procreation or for sleep or for company even. You would be in khalwa, in retreat, solitude and things.
Yeah, you are right. Maybe at the end of this training, during 40 days or during 18 days, you are living only in a small cell, in a small room. Only during the praying time, 5 times praying time, you are going out, you are going to mosque, or you are praying in the Mevlevi Khane, and then you are going back to that cell. You must be alone. You must always be with Allah, with the Beloved. It gives you many things. And at the end of this training, your sheikh can say, you have to clean the toilets. It is the difficult things, I think, because he is about to graduate. Maybe he will be like a great teacher, but he cleans the toilet because it is very difficult for our nafs, for our ego. But at the same time, you see your poorness under the Allah's greatness, I think. And at the end of this training, Sheikh gives you a green turban for your long cap. We say sikkah. You cover your green turban around your sikkah. It means you became a sheikh or you became a dede. It is a title. And now you can go other places to give education to the people.
MashaAllah. Yeah, that's really profound, and I think that's really important because people see the whirling dervishes, and it's such a powerful visual thing that they associate that with the order, but they don't necessarily know that it's a whole way of life, and that that's only one aspect of it. I remember reading also that one of the important aspects when you took the Mevlevi way, that you had to take certain oaths, you could say. And one of them is that you cannot no longer argue.
Yes.
Right? You can't argue about religion or even about dunya, the worldly things. And you can't defend yourself also.
Yes.
You can't defend yourself.
Yes.
If anyone attacks you or says anything bad to you, you just have to. And that's profound, and I think there's a reality because in the way of Maulana Rumi, if you think about Rumi's life, that he was a great scholar of the outward, a scholar of the Hanafi fiqh, a scholar of jurisprudence, tafsir, theology, all of the subjects he was very well learned. But at a certain point, he realized that he left teaching all that and he just focused on the dervishes that wanted to seek Allah. And he says, the intellect is like a wooden leg. It's not that sturdy.
Yeah.
The heart, love is the path. If you're always trying to figure it out with your mind, you're going to not get very far. Right? So then there's the line where he says, while the intellect is searching for the provisions to put on the camel to go for Hajj, love, or the heart, has already circumambulated, made tawaf around the Kaaba 7 times.
Alhamdulillah.
And it's important to realize that he's not denigrating the intellect or saying it's bad, but Rumi talks about 2 types of intellect, right? Aqli juz'i, aqli kulli, the partial intellect, and then the full, the whole intellect, the holistic intellect, or the universal intellect, you could say. And he says the aqli juz'i, the partial intellect, has given the true intellect a bad name.
Yes.
And what he means by this is the partial intellect is that part of us that can see, that separates and differentiates and categorizes. It basically sees the physical world, the physical phenomena, right? So you could be a very good scientist and know everything about subatomic particles and know about 365 different type of bugs and things like this. And look at the Western modern world, very good at this type of intellect, have a high IQ and know many facts and things. But that's not what that's the partial intellect.
Yes.
The true intellect, the higher intellect, the intellect with a capital I, or you could say the awakened intellect, is not the thing that sees separation, but sees unity.
Yeah.
That sees the fact that everything is interwoven. And everything is telling us something about Allah.
Yeah.
Everything is speaking about something beyond itself. Everything is an ayat, is a sign pointing to truth. And that is the true intellect, the intellect that sees the unity and the multiplicity. That is what a true intellect is. And many people that are those that have that intellect awakened, they may not read the most books, they may not know the most facts, they may not have the highest IQ, right? But they're true intellectuals, according to Rumi, because they see the multiplicity. And they have a knowledge from inside themselves from Allah. And that's why when Rumi in the Fihi Mafihi comments on the Prophet ﷺ being ummi, right, unlettered, he didn't read or write. Rumi makes a really interesting point by saying, you're mistaken if you think his being unlettered means that he didn't read or write. What it means is that he didn't need to read or write.
Yes.
Because he was getting knowledge from the divine. And he likens it to a home. If each person is a house. And some people, they have water coming into their house, right? Through channels, or now through plumbing, right? Through the pipes. And that's the knowledge that we can get through our senses, through learning, through observation. He said, but the prophets and their true inheritors, the awliya, they have a spring, they have a fountain in their home, which is feeding them with water no matter what. So even if the plumbing gets turned off, they're still learning, they're still understanding. And of course, all of us have that potential, but for many people, most of us, it's covered up. So that is why we want to awaken that intellect, you see. And that's really important. So again, Rumi is saying that we want to awaken that. And that's why I think my own reflection on this is that that's why you forego argumentation and debates.
Yeah.
Because, if you think of the human soul as like a body of water, which Rumi does a lot, like an ocean, or you could say like a pond, a lake. If you go into a lake, you can see, and it's clear, you can see through to the bottom.
Yeah.
It's clear. But if you go to the bottom and you stir up the dirt, the sand at the bottom, then you can't see. It's very cloudy. You can't see through. And when we debate or when we argue, our ego gets stirred up.
Yes.
And then I feel like my position and this is what I think, and we can't no longer see through. You can no longer see the spirit. It's more ego now. And I experience this, because sometimes I would debate people about things and I enjoyed it. There's something in the human being likes to debate. But even when I felt like I was successful or I won in the debate, afterwards I would feel like constricted in my chest.
Yes.
Or so there's something about that which clouds the heart, even if you're right. And so, like Imam Ghazali says too about kalam. He says there should be some people that study kalam, scholars, to talk about theology, who can defend against other ideas that come from philosophy or wrong ideas to protect. But most people, especially if you don't have any doubts, just go to Allah through your heart. You don't need to study too much abstract theology and philosophy. It can get in the way of your suluk, of your wayfaring, right? And then he gives the analogy of the pilgrimage. In the pre-modern times, you needed guards to go with your caravan and pilgrimage, because you would be areas with deserts and empty quarters where there would be robbers and brigands who would come steal the caravans because they knew people were traveling with their wealth, so you could rob them. So you had to travel with guards. So he said, like this, there needs to be guards who study these subjects, who can protect the ummah. Yeah. But most people just go to the Kaaba, just go to Allah, you know. And also there's that story of Fakhruddin Razi, that he came into the town and all the people gathered and were celebrating because he's a great scholar. And one old woman said, "Who is this?" They said, "Don't you know this is Fakhruddin Razi, the one who has 99 proofs for God." 99 proofs for God. And then this old woman looks at them and says, "That means he has 99 doubts about God."
Yeah.
And so they told Fakhruddin Razi, and he reportedly got off his horse and he came and said, "Where is he?" and asked for her dua.
Yes.
And then said, "May Allah give us the iman, the faith of old women," you know, the hadith.
Amen.
So this is the idea, is that it's through the heart and it's through the awakened intellect. It's not through, and we know there's many people that are very high IQ, know so much about science and these type of things, and they devote themselves to things which have no benefit or even harm, building atom bombs or hydrogen bombs or other things to, you know, on the stock market, using their mathematical intelligence to manipulate markets and these type of things. Okay, is that intelligence truly?
Yes.
No, intelligence is taqwa. Intelligence is seeing the fact that كل من عليها فان ويبقى وجه ربك ذو الجلال والإكرام. Everything is perishing except for the face of Allah, and so we have to act accordingly, you know.
Yeah.
So, yes. So the way of Maulana Rumi is the way of love.
Yeah.
Right? It's not the way of the intellect. So what are some of the aspects though of this love, and how the Mevlevis interact with each other, and what are some essential principles of the way?
Actually, firstly, the intellect plays important role, but somewhere. But if you want to go beyond it, if you want to get the truth, it cannot be. It is impossible with your mind, with your intellect. You have to act with your heart. And special story about Mevlana Jalaluddin Rumi. Now it is very common in the novels, in modern novels, between Mevlana and Shams Tabrizi. One day, Shams threw Mevlana some books into the pool, into the water, and Mevlana Jalaluddin Rumi was very sad because it was from his father. It was precious, unique manuscripts. But Shams Tabrizi wanted to give a message to him, because the books symbolizes mind, symbolizes intellect. You can go somewhere with the books, with your intellect, but it is not enough. It must be with love. How it will be? With your heart, so that heart is much more better than your mind. Even Mevlana's father, Bahauddin Veled, was in this opinion. He left the Balkh, he left Afghanistan, and another second or third was because of the materialist people in Islam, materialist philosophy in Islam, because Balkh was very rich and high cultural city, and there were many scholars, many ulama, but some of them, they get something from Greek philosophy into the Islam. But Bahauddin Veled was against to them, because he was against to the material knowledge in Islamic path. His solution was, everything must be with love, everything must be with heart. It is much more better. I think Imam Ghazali or all these kind of people follows this kind of way. And so that they decided to left the city. And another important figure is Mongol invasion. According to Mevlana Jalaluddin Rumi, love plays very important role. He looks everything very positively. Even the death. Death is not a black night for him. That is the union with God, union with Allah. It is Sheb-i Aruz, wedding night. The true translation is a nuptial night. Because beloved and
lover become one.
Yes.
Consummate the marriage. Yeah.
Yeah. But it must be with your heart. In Hadith Qudsi, I was nowhere, but I was in the heart of the believer. But we cover something with some curtains, with some obstacles. We have to discover these in our own selves with a master. Firstly, it can be with the books. Of course, Mevlana Celaleddin Rumi now, he is Mevlana Celaleddin Rumi, but he reads thousands of books. It's also very important. I don't say you have to give up, you have to leave all the books. No, it takes you somewhere, but after that you have to apply with hope, with love. It is much more better. And all the dervishes, their looking off view must be with love. Sema must be with love. Sema ceremony must be for Allah. And the dervishes and the normal Muslims, I will give you an explanation. If we pray 5 times a day, if we fast during the Ramadan, if we do the basic things, Allah, inshallah ta'ala, will accept into His paradise, into His Jannah. But dervishes aim, their first aim is not going to Jannah. Their aim is seeing face of God in the Jannah. Now you should do much more things. You should do with your heart. You should do with love, and you should do extra things. 5 times enough is not enough. We cannot remember Him only 5 times a day. We have to remember Him always. Our heart must adapt this. These can be with the love, I think.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, that reminds me of that line from Maulana Rumi that is usually translated in the popular version as let the beauty we love be what we do. There's 1,000 ways to kneel and kiss the ground. But what Maulana Rumi says is, he said there's 1,000 ways to make salat, ruku' and sujood, to make ritual prayer, bowing and prostration. For one whose prayer niche, whose mihrab is the beauty of the beloved. In other words, that it's not, like you said, it's not just enough to pray 5 times a day, but every breath, every action. For the lover, they don't just think of the one they love 5 times a day. They're consumed with love, and every moment and every breath and every interaction is related to that love,
Yeah.
And subhanAllah, this is so important.
In the beginning of Mesnevi, the material love also plays very important role. Males to female, female to male love is also very good because it takes us to somewhere. It is also love. For example, Layla and Majnun, they were loving, they were felt love, but then they find the truth. So that whether this point or that point, love is very important for Mevlana Celaleddin Rumi.
Yeah, I love that Sufi teaching story where the young man comes to the sheikh and says, I want to take the path and become a dervish. And the sheikh says, have you ever been in love?
Yeah.
He says, no, I'm a young man. He said, then go fall in love and then come back.
Yes.
Because what can this path do for you if you can't love? And the deep thing, Rumi always talks about that, is that the true beloved is always Allah. Whatever you love, if you love a beautiful face or you love truth or justice, you're loving the beauty of Allah, al-Jamal, or you're loving al-Haq and truth, and you're loving. Al-adl, and justice, the names of God, always. So, mashallah. So maybe we could just close by talking about the sama itself. As you know, I wrote a poem about the sama, and this actually came after when I was here 4 years ago and I attended the sama.
Yes.
And then I sat with you and your father, and there's a few others coming from Europe and other places with us. And you explained the symbolism of the sama. So maybe I could recite the poem, and then, you know, we could offer some commentary on the meaning of the sama. So, but we can use the poem to help kind of reflect on that. And this is, you know, because every movement in the sama has symbolic value. Every aspect of the dress has symbolic value. Every aspect of the carpet they're sitting on, symbolic value. Every movement, every step, every stage of it has symbolic value. And it's really, if you could say it in one statement, it's that it's a death and rebirth ceremony.
Yes.
It's a death and rebirth ceremony. So the poem is called Dervish. It goes, right hand to the heavens, left hand to the earth. White garment the spirit, black cloak is the dirt. Gravestone for a turban, ascending up from its perch. The kiss of death from the master, bowing for the rebirth. A rose tied in a coffin, slow a petal unfurls. The planets down to the atoms, all orbit in turns. All things are in cycles, each being returns. Love, the fruit of the spirit, the body, food for the worms. Invoking every rotation, find what the master affirms. You were just here to remember, there is nothing to learn. Mankind in his glory, a clot that was brought to term. The righteous and the deniers all emerge from a sperm. They continue their whirling, present at every stage. The breath that's blown into Adam, the secret flows in your veins. The reed that receives the breath, the perfect man is the nay. The higher that one ascends, the more he becomes a slave. Illusion of separation, when it dies you have attained. Then there is no self to speak of, like the ocean meets the rain. When a drop falls to its surface, what drop is there that remains? For those who pass in this manner, say not that they have been slain. The martyrs yearn for this station, all descriptions in vain. Green birds in the garden chirping the greatest name. The fuqara are the wealthy, the sultans, they are the slaves. Dust on the path of the prophet, we raise our hands and we pray, Ya Hazrat Mawlana, our master, show us the way. Ya Hazrat Mawlana, our master, show us the way. Ya Hazrat Mawlana, our master, show us the way. Right hand to the heavens, left hand to the earth. White garment the spirit, black cloak is the dirt. Gravestone for a turban ascending up from its perch. The kiss of death from the master, bowing for the rebirth. Alhamdulillah. So that's the poem. So contained is a reference to many of the symbols. So maybe you can explain some of the symbols, starting with maybe the dress and then the movements of the symbol.
Thank you very much for your poem. It's explained well, I think. But to add something, coffin, because our prophet says, Mutu and taqabla mutu, die before your death.
Yes.
How it will be. You have to be ready for the real death, killing your ego, killing your nafs, and then it means you are ready. You have to make some preparation before your death. Because we also have animal side. We firstly control this animal side. We have to be a real human. We have to be a perfect man. So that all the clothes of dervishes plays very important role. For example, the belt, the black belt, divides you into two different parts. Your down is very similar with the animals. Eating, your lust, your other things. But the up, spirit, mind, intellect, heart is all here. We have to focus our upside so that we step the post. This is the goat skin or other animal skin. It symbolizes our animal side, but we step on it. It means it is under. It is
the prayer mat. The prayer mat, which is literally a sheepskin, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
my animal side is under my foot, under my feet. It means, or I am trying to do my best. The white one symbolizes coffin because of die before your death.
Right. The white skirt that they wear. That they wear, yeah.
Yes. And
so it represents the coffin, which is the funeral shroud that the people are wrapped in when they are buried.
Exactly. And the long cap, we say sikke, it's like a gravestone.
Yeah.
It is all related with the death, but death in this world.
Yes. And then the black cloak, the black jubba that you wear first, what does that represent?
It is like a worldly attachment. Because while you are starting to ceremony, you take off your worldly attachment onto your animal side, and you go another dimension. Because in every whirling, in every turning, you repeat the name of God. You say Allah, Allah, Allah with your heart. It is like a praying. It is like a dua, because your right palms looks up. It is like a dua. You want something from Allah. You want some energy. You want His mercy, but not only for yourself. With left hand, you are ready to distribute this energy with everyone. You have to share this knowledge, this experience with everyone. When we want rain from Allah, we turn our hands, our palms to the down. It means, please send your mercy, please send your plentifulness to our earth. So the whirling dervishes, while they are whirling, while they are performing sema, they repeat the name of Allah thousands times. They try to contact with Him. It is like a rabata, but not themselves. So that in our history or now, it must be with audience. It must not be without audience.
So, but there's a few things before they start whirling. There's different parts. So what happens before the whirling?
Yes, for example, Sultan Veled circling. Before starting the Sema ceremony, we don't take off our black cloaks. We turn 3 times on the whole. The first round symbolizes ilm al-yaqeen. The second one symbolizes ayn al-yaqeen, and the third one is haqq al-yaqeen, because it is steps. These are steps. It takes you to truth.
So the dervishes basically walk in a circle to symbolize each one of those levels.
Yes.
Yes. And then right before the whirling starts, you take off the black cloak and you come towards the post neshin, or the shape. Maybe you could explain the post neshin and when they come to him and what they do before whirling.
This Sema ceremony must be under the control of Sheikh, because he has many experience and he walked before us in this spiritual way. And he can control many things as a spiritually. We bow in front of him. It means, could you please let me? I am ready for this new life. And he kisses our long cap. It means, okay, please start your dhikr, start your remembrance of Allah. He also symbolizes Mevlana Jalaluddin Rumi and the lineage, the silsila.
The lineage, yeah.
He stands on the red special carpet.
Red carpet.
Yes. And the red color symbolizes Mevlana Jalaluddin Rumi's passing away, because when he passed away, the sky was full of red because it was just before the evening time. At the same time, another meaning, the red one is Jalaluddin. Mevlana Jalaluddin Rumi. The name of Jalal in Sufi tradition, the color of Jalal is red.
And Jamal is blue, is that?
Yeah, blue, and also Wahdat, unity, is also blue. Of course, these are all commentary, but written in our books in Turkish. And Sheikh symbolizes Mevlana Jalaluddin Rumi, symbolizes Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he can walk on a line.
Yeah.
In Sema Hall there is a line that we cannot see, invisible line, but it symbolizes the right side of Semahane Zahir, the left side is Batin,
outward and inward.
But Sheikh can walk in the middle, because he takes Zahir and Batin in himself.
Right. One foot in each, right? So he's transcended the difference.
Yes.
It's like fana and then baqa. You come back, you're in the world of multiplicity, but you see wahdat, you see unity.
Yes. And at the end of Sema ceremony, the whirling dervishes finds a place and they don't move. They always whirl there. In this time, the postnishin, the sheikhs, starts his special Sema. It is slowly and different than our Sema. And he walks into the middle, because middle of the Sema Hane is a qutub. In that time, he opens his chest. And it means, please, may Allah, please send your mercy to my chest. It is like a sun. But he is ready to distribute with everyone, with the dervishes. It is like a planet system. Sun, planets, stars. It's like a tradition. It's like a shopping between.
It's really profound, and I think it should be mentioned too that like the goal, like Rumi's poetry cannot be separated from wedged, right?
Yes.
Wedged ecstasy, and this is an important term because Rumi wrote the poetry in a state of wedged, and he wrote them for the sama, for opening wedged in others.
Yeah.
And what is wedged? It's an intense, deep topic that many Sufi theorists have written about. Imam al-Ghazali writes deeply about it, and others. But this is the idea, is that, in Arabic, right, the word wajd is from the trilateral root waw, dal, jim, wajada, wujud. So many words are made from that root. Wajd means ecstasy. Wajada means to find. And wujud means being itself. That's why, you have in philosophy, God is wajib al-wujud, the necessary existence. And in the school of Ibn al-Arabi is called the school of wahdat al-wujud, oneness of being. So this is the idea, is that when you find being, when you open yourself to the essence of being, the root of being, which is Allah, which is God, which is the transcendent one, the source of all existence, that finding is ecstatic. When you essentially lose yourself, when you transcend your ego self, which feels separate, you become one with everything. And Rumi uses the analogy of an ocean, right? So a wave comes up, and the wave is a separate thing, right? I like to surf, so you experience this. The wave is its own thing, but then it comes back into the ocean and it's one. So us, as being a human, we are like waves on the ocean. So we think, I'm a separate person, but really, you're just emerging from the ocean for a moment, but you're coming back into the ocean. Yes. And this is, or like a drop falling into the ocean. So this is the nature of it. So it's essentially for the Sufis, that true existence is not the ego existence, but it's when you remove that veil of ego, then you find true existence.
Yes.
Then you find true being. And so Rumi wouldn't just write from his own self, he would write from the absence of his own self when a state overcame him. And that's why he didn't actually write his poetry, he recited it, and then Husamuddin Chalabi or other disciples would write them. So, and he wrote them not to be read, silently in your room by yourself. That's okay too, but the reason he really wrote them is to be sung and recited in the sama, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because then these meanings will pierce your heart and you will attain a state of ecstatic union with the divine presence, right? So that's really important to mention too. Like, what is this all about? Is about that. And so I guess from your perspective too, like, you've been doing the sama, you said, for 15 years, right?
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
And was it difficult to get from the point where it's like you're focusing on all the movements and your arms are getting tired and you say you're getting dizzy and am I doing it right? And thinking about that, to get to that point of you're empty and you're just, like the symbolic meaning, you're just with the hand to the heaven, hand to the earth, and empty, make me a vessel for your mercy to come, and attaining that state of presence with Allah. How is that?
Yeah. Actually, first years, I was always thinking about my position, about my head, about my arms. I couldn't focus and I don't know what I am doing. But it is also a process. It gives you many things. After 5 years, I started to read something about Sema, about Mevlana Jalaluddin Rumi, because knowledge must be here. And then you are trying to focus. And if you get experienced, especially in the third part of Sema ceremony, the rhythm is very quick. And with the music, with the rhythm, you spin quickly, more quickly. You whirl more quickly. In that time, your eyes cannot see the around of you, and you don't know where is right, where is left. I think it is the best thing, because you are saying Allah, Allah, Allah, Allah, Allah, Allah, Allah, and you don't know where you are. And you are trying to get contact with Allah, and you are always saying Allah, you are again saying Allah, and of course you are feeling something. It is very special. Whirling Dervishes, they don't want to share their experiences with the others. As you said, they don't describe themselves too much. But it is, you have to live. I think you have to be a Whirling Dervish, but after 15 or after 20 years, it is much more better. And then you can feel something. It is not written in the books. It is not saying, but you have to live it. This moment is very unique. This moment is very important. But you cannot feel in every Sema. It is directly related with your life, with your spirituality. During that week, if you pray well, if you always think about Allah, if you are a good person, of course you can see the reflections in the Sema ceremony.
MashaAllah. Beautiful. Alhamdulillah. So you've been very generous with your time. So we'll close with that. But is there anything else you wanted to say in closing? And then also, if people are interested in your work or the Whirling Dervishes more generally, maybe you could say something about where they could find more information, or maybe about Irfa, where we are.
Yes. So, actually, I am living in Konya, and if you come Konya, you should experience this ceremony. On Saturdays, we are performing Sema ceremony at Mevlana Cultural Center for years. But on Sundays and on Friday nights, we are at Irfan Civilization and Cultural Center. It is like a modern Mevlevi Khane because we have art classes. Students are coming and learning art. We are performing Sema ceremonies. We are singing Sufi songs, conferences, meetings. There are several events in this cultural center. And sometimes during the summer, you can see Sema ceremony 4 times a week. You can come and visit us. I am ready to serve you. I am ready to share my knowledge with everyone if I know.
Amen. And inshallah, Rumi Center for Spirituality and the Arts will be annually doing a Rumi retreat here.
Inshallah.
And we'll be working with you and inshallah allowing people to experience the Sema, to study these sacred arts, and to study the poetry and philosophy and really the way of Maulana Rumi, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Eyvallah.
Eyvallah.
Selamun alaikum.
Aleyküm selam. İllah.